Eileen, good to see you today.
Cicely, glad to be back here. What are we talking about today?
Well, so you and I had a conversation about how to dress, how to show up in Zoom, right? Whether you're back in the office or whether you're still in the workplace. So let's have that conversation because I think you and I probably come at it from slightly different points of view, don't you think?
I think, yeah, definitely. I think that people have been home for a long time.
That's
You
right.
know, pajamas have been a thing, and we've all been dressing down and dressing comfortable. But it's time to get back to work. And what you wear and how you present yourself makes all the difference in the world. I'm assuming you agree with that point.
Oh, absolutely. I put makeup on for the first time in months for this video. So, yeah, but you're right. I mean, we've sort of come to the unofficial or official end of summer, and people, are going back maybe 2 or 3 days a week in the office, but Zoom is here to stay. Cisco team, whatever, Teams, WebEx, whatever you want to say. And I do think it's time that we get back to work. I do think it's time that we sort of make that mental shift. And maybe that, maybe that shift just, I don't know, there's something there when you're getting up, you're getting dressed, I think that just makes a big difference in terms of the mentality that you bring today. So, okay, so let's talk about what you're wearing and what is your strategy for sort of making that shift? How are you sort of showing up differently now that we're sort of coming back into this workplace mentality?
It is time to dress up a little bit. I think it's time to put the pajamas and the comfy clothing away. And there's something to be said for that professional look and how you feel. And it builds your confidence and just makes you stand a little bit taller. Look, when I have people going in on interviews, be it on Zoom or in person, if they're not sure what to wear, I tell them suit up. Okay. It's better
Good.
that
Okay.
you're overdressed versus underdressed. Okay, because if you're wearing a suit or you're dressed up, they're going to assume that you know it's an interview. You're going to look your best. Okay, but if you're showing up with dogs, cats, everything in the background, your messy room in the background, look, it's all in the presentation. That's how I feel. Cicely, what about workplace meetings? How should people be showing up for that?
So I love what you just said because listen, the lines are either blurred or they're completely gone at this point at work. I mean, and look, I'm the first one to tell you I love my Nike t-shirts and my shorts, and I'm going to have a hard time letting them go. But I do think you're right. I think there is just an intentionality and a purposefulness, can I say that out loud? That really shows when you start to say, hey, look, we're back at it, and you're showing a serious sense of purpose. You are putting on maybe that collared shirt, maybe it is, the background is very different, but there is a way to show up differently now that look, we're going to be in this world for a while. I mean, the Delta variant is spreading. I mean, living in this hybrid remote, environment is here to stay. So I do think whether you're new at a job or whether you've been in your job for a while, I do think there's just a shift in terms of showing up differently. Put on that collared shirt again. It's okay to still have to be at home at Zoom, but I do think you're onto something there. I do. I think there's something to how you show up is how you are perceived, as well. So let me ask you this: the interview, yes, you've absolutely got to suit up. That's like spot on. But what about for like interviews 2 and 3? So what if you have a series of interviews, right? So it's not just one anymore, but maybe you're going through a group. Do you still suit up through all of them? Is there a point where you can go a little more casual? How does it work and when you have more than one interview?
Look, I always tell, especially my young professionals who are coming out of college and they have to build their wardrobe. They really don't have clothing
That's true.
because time to get rid of the t-shirts. Uh, well, you can wear those on weekends, but not for an interview. So I always tell them, go buy yourself 3 outfits. So this way you're prepared because no company has just one interview anymore. They're usually
Right.
doing a phone screen. They might have you meet with the hiring manager, and then they have you meet with the team. So you need to have a couple of mix and match outfits ready to go. Look, at the end of the day, you ask the hiring manager, you ask HR, okay, during the phone screen, what is the protocol?
Mm-hmm.
How should you dress? But you know what? I think you said it best, Cicely. It's how you show up. So it's a mindset. If you're coming in that ripped up t-shirt, well, what does that say about you as you're presenting to an interview? This is when you should be showing your best self.
That's right.
So that's why I always say you always dress up better. Look, you may be dressed up and the other person who's doing the interview might be in a t-shirt, but you know what? They're going to have more respect for you and more respect for your professionalism if you're showing up well.
That's right. And you know what? It's so funny you should say that, because I worked in it previously when I was in corporate America. I was in the collared shirts. I was in the suits every day. And a colleague one day made a point to me and she said, "You're always dressed up." And I said, "Am I? I'm dressing to come to work, right? My mom told me always dress the part." So that's just like, instilled in me. But she made a comment. She said, "Yeah, but you always look professional when you come to work. You're not in jeans. You don't wear casual shoes." She said, "I think that," and that conversation stuck with me, because she said, "I think that makes a difference. Like, I think I need to be more conscientious about what I'm wearing and how I'm showing up." And this was years before the pandemic, but I think those principles, still apply. I mean, I know I have clients that I have Zoom calls with, and I have one particular client. He's always in a collared shirt. He has been for 18 months. He never stopped. But I think for females as well, it's okay to, I was wearing a dress one day and somebody said, "Why are you wearing a dress?" And I was like, it was like a capital, it was like a question, like 20 questions. "Why are you wearing a dress on Zoom?" And I was like, is that a big deal? Like, what? That shouldn't be a big deal that that you're dressing up. So I completely agree with you. I think the how you show up, I think the impression you're giving is important. So, all right, listen, give me one final thought on this. And then I want to tell folks how to reach us, because I want to make sure people understand we're doing these videos, but we're also available for calls as well. So give me your final thoughts on sort of the how to dress to impress, let's put it that way. And then we'll tell folks how to reach us.
My final thought is it's all in the presentation. This has to do with everything. It's all in the presentation. If you keep that in your mind, in forefront with everything you do, not only dress, in all the work you do and everything you do in your career, you'll never go wrong.
Listen, that is a life lesson to live by. I love that. So how do people reach you, Eileen, if they want to have a conversation with you about, your recruiting, you help people get hired? How can they reach you?
They can reach me at my website. It's poundingpavement101.com, or they can get on my calendar at talkwitheileen.careers.
Talkwitheileen.careers. Okay. Well, you and I are following similar sort of patterns as always. My website is cicelysimpson.com, but people who want to get on my calendar, it's cicely.me. So let's do this. Why don't we start offering folks, if you're watching this, Eileen and I will do a call together. We'll both get on a consultation call, right, Eileen? Let's do that. Let's get on a call together with folks, and you can talk from your perspective. I can talk from my perspective, but it's a free consultation with both of us. What do you think about that?
I think that's great. I get them hired, and then Cicely, you show people exactly how to grow their careers.
It'll be a great consultation call. So listen, if you're watching this video, you can go to talkwitheileen.careers. She will loop me in to any calls. And if you go to cicely.me, I will loop I'll loop Eileen into calls as well. So listen, we can do this back and forth. We do actually talk to each other outside of video, so we can loop each other in. But get on our calendars, talk to Eileen. Talkwitheileen.careers. Don't let me screw that up.
No.
Cicely.me. And then we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to have a conversation, not only about how you dress and how you show up differently, but I think the life lesson that Eileen just said was spot on. So Eileen, we'll do this again in the future.
Sounds good. Okay,
all right,
thanks,
talk to you
Cicely.
soon. Thanks.